So since this will be our house anyway, could you move out soon? Victoria demanded. Well, you seem to be misunderstanding. Neither this house nor the apartments will become Adrian's property, I explained calmly. My sister-in-law, Victoria, was speechless at my explanation. My name is Aubrey, a 35-year-old office worker. Currently, I live with my parents in our family home. This time, I'll be sharing about the absurd trouble caused by my unreasonable sister-in-law. I have a younger brother, Adrian, who's 3 years younger and married a beautiful woman named Victoria a few years ago. Victoria was always cheerful, showing kindness to both my parents and me whenever she visited our house. I liked her so much that we often went out for meals with Adrian. I thought we were building a good relationship, but one day, Victoria stormed into our place in a rage. It was one day on a sunny weekend. Suddenly, the doorbell rang in the afternoon. As I was heading to the door, it rang again. Wondering who could be so urgent, I opened the door to find Victoria with a grim look on her face. Victoria, what happened?" I asked, concerned. "I have an important matter to discuss about this house," Victoria said seriously. "About this house? What's the matter?" I questioned, puzzled. "I'll come in," she said. Wait a minute," I replied. Without waiting for my response, Victoria barged into the house. Then Adrian showed up a little later. "Hey sis," he began. "What's up with you two suddenly showing up like this?" "And Victoria seems pretty mad," I uttered, confused. "Well, the thing is," Adrian hesitated and told me, "he works in nursing care. Unfortunately, his salary is quite low. However, Victoria didn't complain and was helping the family budget by working part-time. But suddenly, they started talking about inheritance at our family home. Our family owns a large piece of land where we have built apartments and rented them to tenants. Victoria believed that Adrian, being the eldest son, would own both the family home and the apartments in the future. And suddenly, she expressed a desire to move into our family home. When Adrian asked what she meant, she wanted to move into our larger family home to save money on rent and start saving rather than paying rent for their small apartment. Adrian tried to curb Victoria's runaway idea, saying, "We don't even have children yet, so I'm not sure if we should move into our family home, and my sister lives there too." But Victoria declared, "Then I'll go talk to your sister directly and plan to move into our family home." It's a rather greedy way of thinking, but maybe women become this way when they think about starting a family and having children after marriage. But it's strange that she'd suddenly say she wants to live in our family home. "Well, let's just talk this out inside for now," I suggested. "I find my brother Adrian to be quite unreliable in times like these. He's always so unmanly, for lack of a better word. That's why I thought him marrying the gentle and mild-mannered Victoria was a good match. They seemed like two peas in a pod, but it looks like he's completely under her thumb." When Victoria came into the living room with a furious expression on her face, my parents and I were genuinely startled, wondering what the fuss was all about. For the time being, I had everyone sit down and serve some tea. Then I sat down and asked Victoria, "What exactly is going on here? What is this important matter concerning our house?" "In short, we're thinking of living in this house," Victoria replied. "So you want to move in and live with us?" I clarified. Victoria shook her head, saying, "No, that's not it. Wouldn't it be awkward for all of us? You in-laws run the apartment next door, right?" Yeah," I answered, confused. "We would like for you and your in-laws to move into one of those apartments, and we would like to live here," Victoria stated firmly. "What?" At that, my parents and I collectively gasped, glancing at Adrian. I saw he could only manage a shy smile. If you move into the apartments you own, you wouldn't have to pay rent, right? Victoria continued as if it were obvious. Well, yeah, we wouldn't need to pay rent, but why do we have to move? I asked, baffled. This house is a bit too large for your parents to live in, isn't it? With the gathering and cleaning, things are going to get tough, and the stairs to the second floor are quite steep. A fall could lead to a serious injury. Adrian, you feel the same way, don't you? Victoria insisted, looking at Adrian for support. Oh, well, yeah, Adrian muttered, avoiding my gaze. I was astounded. So essentially, they want to kick us all out just so they can live in this spacious house. My parents seemed too stunned to speak. Well, there aren't any vacancies in our apartments right now, so we can't move, I replied. Oh, really? Then which apartment's lease ends first? You could create a vacancy by choosing not to renew it, right? Victoria suggested, undeterred. Victoria, what are you talking about? Why do we have to move into the apartment? I've already explained that that's something we can think about if we get old and need nursing care. Right now, we're all fine. We don't feel like the house is too big, and my parents plan to spend their golden years in this house, I said, trying to stay calm. Victoria sighed deeply at this. I didn't want to be so blunt, but your point was blunt from the get-go. It can't be helped. After all, Adrian is the eldest son. That means eventually this house and the apartments will be his. If we have kids in the future, we'll need a larger house. Wouldn't it be better to start living here sooner and get used to it? Victoria argued. Wait, kids? Are you guys planning on having kids? My mom asked, surprised. No, I mean, if we have kids, Victoria stammered. What a forceful argument. She's saying we should hand over our house on the assumption that they might have kids one day. So since it'll be our house anyway, could you move out any sooner? Victoria pressed. I turned to my brother. Did you discuss this? I asked. Adrian could only shrug and smile ruefully. So Victoria had been so pushy all along, huh? I think there's some misunderstanding. This house and the apartment will not be Adrian's, I stated firmly. What? What do you mean? Victoria asked, shocked. I'll explain. This house and all the apartments are both under my name, so Adrian can't inherit them, I explained clearly. What? No way, Victoria said, stunned. On hearing my explanation, my sister-in-law was at a loss for words. Why, I mean, usually the eldest son inherits everything, doesn't he? She stammered, clearly confused. Well, my father began to explain to Victoria. In fact, both this house and the apartments were built by my parents. But due to financial difficulties, I, who was financially stable at the time, took over all their liabilities. Adding to my father's explanation, I continued, just recently, we managed to pay off all the debts from the apartment business and started making a little bit of profit. So we're still operating at a loss. We're in the red. But it seemed like my sister-in-law, Victoria, was too shocked by the revelation that they would not be receiving either this house or the apartments. She couldn't comprehend the financial details. I won't accept this. If that's the case, then we should also have a share of the income from the apartments, she demanded, her tone defiant. Her argument made no sense. How could someone be so audacious? Seeing no point in further discussions, I simply stated, absolutely not. But Victoria was stubborn. Next time I'll bring my parents, she said, taking my brother Adrian and leaving our home. I was annoyed, thinking this could have been avoided if Adrian had just put his foot down with Victoria. A week later, Victoria did indeed bring her parents. The discussion restarted in our living room. We explained the situation to Victoria's parents while we spoke. They listened quietly, nodding occasionally. After we finished, Victoria's father finally spoke. This sounds odd. I believe that due to the nature of inheritance gifts, should your parents pass away, Adrian would be entitled to a portion of the estate as a reserved portion, correct? He asked, his voice measured. It seems you intend to keep it all to yourself. Isn't that unfair? Victoria's father chuckled smugly. Victoria, too, had an unpleasant smirk on her face, but I wasn't going to back down. You might be right, but did you forget these apartments were originally saddled with debt? I can provide evidence that I paid off the debt, but Adrian has no proof that he paid any of it. After all, it was me who took care of the payments. If you want a share of the inheritance, you'd have to shoulder half of the debt I took over. That would be about this much, I said firmly. I keyed the amount into the calculator app on my phone and showed Victoria and her parents. They were speechless at the sight of the figure. That's impossible. That much debt. It's just increasing our debt, isn't it? Victoria exclaimed, clearly distressed. I didn't miss those words. Debt? What do you mean by debt? I asked, my voice rising. No, it's nothing, Victoria muttered, avoiding my gaze. Adrian, what's going on? I glared at my brother and demanded an explanation. Well, I don't know anything about it, he stammered, looking confused. Victoria, is there some reason you want to live in this house? I asked, my patience wearing thin. It seemed Victoria's father resigned himself to spill the beans. I'm sorry. Our daughter recently took a big loss in the stock market, he admitted, sounding depressed. What? I said, shocked. It seemed Adrian was also in the dark. Why, Victoria? He asked, turning to his wife. I heard it was a good investment opportunity from someone at work, she said defensively. What? That's a scam, isn't it? Adrian exclaimed. Shut up. It's your fault for not earning enough. Victoria snapped back at Adrian. What? He said, stunned. So you wanted to seize our house and use the money you'd save on rent to pay off your debts. I exclaimed indignantly. What's wrong with that? We had no other option, Victoria confessed, her voice trembling. I was appalled. She should have talked to us about it in the first place. This is unheard of, audacity to try to steal our house using such a vile tactic. I won't tolerate it. There's nothing more to discuss. Please leave, I said, my voice firm. But wait, I'm really in trouble, Victoria pleaded. So please help, she added. Don't be so soft. I too took over a debt from my parents, but I paid it all back. Let me tell you, it's not okay to keep working part-time when you don't have kids. You're still young, work full-time. Don't complain about Adrian not earning enough when you only want to work part-time because it's comfortable. And Adrian, stand up for yourself. That's why she gets to say whatever she wants. I concluded, furious, causing both Adrian and Victoria to fall silent. Anyway, your debt is your responsibility. So you and Adrian figure out how to repay it and get out of here immediately, I commanded. Victoria, her parents, and my brother hastily left the house as if they were running away. Later, I received a call from Victoria's parents. They apologized profusely, saying they were truly sorry. My words had apparently struck a chord, and they had decided not to help Victoria and Adrian, regardless of how much they asked for assistance. Adrian had unknowingly been put in a difficult situation because of his wife's debt. Although he had decided not to divorce Victoria, I hoped he would work hard to repay the debt and show more dignity towards Victoria. I knew that sooner or later, the two of them would come asking for help again, but we were resolved not to offer assistance. I sincerely hoped that the situation would force both my brother and Victoria to reassess their actions.